Recently, I got an email from a client about how she is challenged about doing her zone 2 endurance rides because she says they're boring. That's what she calls them. They're boring. I can't stand doing them. The reality is the majority of the riding that we do needs to be in this zone or should be in this zone unless you are really a time crunched athlete. These rides should be, as Coley Moore calls them, suspiciously easy. These should be, you're just pedaling. You can easily talk. You can easily breathe. You're looking around at the scenery. There's a lot of things going on. But what we're doing today is coming up with 13 different ways to make these rides more interesting, or things that you can do along the rides to make them more interesting. Welcome to the Unleash Your Everyday Athlete video podcast. I am Paul Worlowski, head coach and owner of Simple Endurance Coaching. And each week we talk about one thing that seems to be working for everyday cyclists and runners to empower ordinary, everyday people to achieve extraordinary fitness and performance. Subscribe to the podcast below. Sign up on the website for a free core strength and stability video in which I talk and give you exercises that really strengthen your core and stabilize you. Here is this week's podcast. Bottom line for endurance zone 2 rides is, yes, there's a lot of buzz about them right now, but there's good reason for it. They work. They just work. They are the bread and butter of what we do as cyclists, and actually as runners too. Because there are a lot of physical adaptations in your cardiovascular system and in your muscles with that slow training without building all the fatigue. The two big ones, well, there's a lot of them, but the two big ones, the biggest one being mitochondria biogenesis. It's easy for me to say. Essentially meaning you get more and they get larger. And because they are that powerhouse of the cell, as we all learned in middle school and high school science, that's where we develop all of our aerobic capacity. Another benefit is increased fat oxidation and our bodies learn to use fat as a fuel source. So volume matters. We need to do as much volume as we are able to during the week. And if you do all of it as really high intensity, you're going to get really tired and you're not going to be successful. But if you can do it at a low rate, you get the most adaptation to build aerobic capacity. So by zone 2, in general, I mean that your heart rate is under 130-ish, 135-ish. I mean, we're all different, so it all depends on who you are and what your typical heart rate zones are. But it is a easy pace where you are able to talk easily. You could even argue politics or religion and get a pretty good discussion going because you're able to have enough oxygen to do that. You could do zone 2 power for the whole time. However, the longer you ride at zone 2 power, the more difficult it becomes, and so your heart rate might start to creep up. So it's general. What I advise for my clients is simply do your volume rides, your endurance rides as heart rate rides. You still need intensity. Let's make that very clear. My client likes to do the long volume gravel and mountain bike races. So in the wintertime, we're going to work on increasing her VO2 max because that's the weakness that she has. And in the summer, we're going to increase and then extend her critical power, as well as doing the strength and yoga to support the work that she's doing and the training that she's doing. So here are our 13 ways, and all of these either come from my experience, from crowdsourcing. I did some research and found these ways. If you have other ones, please let me know. I would love to hear about new ones. Number 1, explore new routes. For example, Strava allows you to, and Garmin, you can, other programs, just say, here's my destination, build me a route and follow it. You can go to some new place for lunch. You can go to get snacks at some new place. One of my favorite rides is simply getting dropped off by my wife when we're coming home from a family trip. And I know that I've got a good couple, 60 to 80 miles. I'll figure out how I'm going to get home. Number 2, do some group rides. And I don't mean group rides, these really fast-paced hammer fests. These are simply group rides where you get a bunch of friends together and you're talking. You might do a pace line where you're talking for a little while and then you drop back. But these are easy rides where none of you are in difficulty. You're just pedaling your bikes. Number 3, set goals or challenges. For example, one of the things that you might do is challenge yourself to breathe through your nose for 5 straight minutes every 30 minutes, something like that. Or you might find a little narrow band of heart rate, like 120 to 125, and you're going to stick to that, and you're going to challenge yourself to stay within that zone the whole time. Number 4, and this is what I usually do with all of my long rides, is I listen to podcasts. It might be music that you listen to, but you have headphones or earbuds, not headphones, but earbuds or some kind of, those bone detection, bone casting ones, whatever they're called. But you might have a book on tape. You might have musical playlists. I love listening to shows like 99% Invisible and Freakonomics. I listen to a lot of cycling and coaching podcasts like Fast Talk. One of the ones that I like, it's kind of a competitor of mine in Athletica, but Trainer Road has this Ask a Cycling Coach. And what I will do is that people will call in with or write in with questions. The host will ask the question. I'll stop it. I'll think about what the question, how I might answer it and what I might say. And then I'll listen to what they say and have a little mental and emotional discussion with them about their answers. Number 5, indoors. If you're indoors, obviously we have Zwift and we have the ability to get on and gamify, but we can also watch movies or TV. One of the things that I will often do is have Zwift on one screen, and then another computer will have cyclocross races, because cross races, there's always a lot going on. And so it's fun to watch. I also like watching Netflix action movies just for something different to do. Number 6, short intervals. So there is nothing to say that you have to keep your heart rate exactly below 135 or 130 the entire day. If you're going up a hill, go up the hill. Go ride your bike. Within your long rides, you can add in tempo intervals to make them a little bit different. For instance, you might do tempo at a high cadence or at a low cadence. And just remember that tempo intervals will add training stress to the mix. To keep that in mind, that you might end up more tired at the end because you added those, but it's a good way of breaking the time up. You can add short sprints, 4 to 8 second sprints. Just use up your phosphocreatine system. So one of your energy systems, use up all of that without really affecting your aerobic system. You might do short little spin-ups every 5 minutes. Just go zzz for 20 seconds and be done. You might go really slow up the hill and then pedal really fast down the hill, just to create some intervals that break up the monotony. And I put it in monotony because I love it. It's not monotony to me. To break up the pedaling that you're doing. Number 7, along with that, is looking for some Strava segments. You might find a segment that's out in the county someplace, and you go ride out there and try to get your PR, try to get on the leaderboard. Keep them short. keep most of your ride in that endurance zone, but make the Strava segment your goal for the day. Also inside your Zwift Pacer groups, when I go on the screen, I will often have the one screen will be the Pacer group. And I usually just do a D group because they're easy. I don't need to pay attention too much. Sometimes I will drop them on a climb because it might be too easy on the climb. But I just need to back off. It's not too easy. So my attention is focused sort of on the little dude in the group, and then I watch the race. Sometimes I get so involved in the race I totally lose track of what I'm doing, and I get dropped or drop the group, and it's like, oh, whoops. But that's okay. You still have something to focus on. Number 9, one of my favorite parts about doing long rides is the mid-ride break. Find some place. I have places to go to. I live in Milwaukee, and I have a place in Racine. I have a place in Burlington. I have a place in Wales. I have a place in Thiensville. I have a place in Grafton. There's a place in Heartland. All these places are good mid-ride places where I can get a good cup of coffee and a snack, because that's why we do these rides, so we can enjoy these things. Number 10 is breaking your ride up with different cadences. For instance, you might, after an hour ride, you might do 5 minutes of low cadence, 5 minutes of high cadence, 5 minutes of low, 5 minutes of high. You might do spin-ups every 5 minutes, 30 seconds of just spinning up your cadence, not going harder, just spinning. Just changing on a regular basis the cadence that you do things. Number 11, many of you are able to ride to work, or if you it's a great opportunity to add in a lot of great endurance miles. You get a chunk of miles going to work, then you can take the long way home, or maybe the long way there, whatever it might be, and get a lot of extra endurance miles in that way. And then when you're home, you're home. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to think about your ride. Number 12, this is a crazy one, and I'm telling you, people do this, but I don't know how they do this, because this is not me at all. Some people, get this, they just ride their bikes. They don't have headphones. They don't have anything. They just ride their bikes and look around and observe, and they think, and they don't do anything. And I laugh because there's no way in God's green earth that my overactive brain would allow me to do that. And I've tried. I've done these rides, before we had headphones, back in the day. But it's okay to just go do, 3-4 hours of just thinking about your life and thinking about the world and looking about you. I don't think this one's going to work for my client either. But for many people, it's a great opportunity. Number 13 is one that I don't do very often, but it's a lot of fun when you do it. I love history, and I love finding out about the history of a community. And, a couple of years ago, I was up north visiting my mom, and I took a ride to explore where there was a dam created that flooded hundreds of acres of Native American land to create some lakes and to create some recreational areas. And it was odd, but there were all these historical relics around that were fascinating to me to learn about that, and how many of those kind of historical markers are there for us to explore and learn about our community. So it's a great chance to explore some new routes. So that's my 13. What do you got? Tell me some more. Thanks for watching Unleash Your Everyday Athlete video podcast. I'm Paul Worlowski, head coach and owner of Simple Endurance Coaching. Find the full article below and opt in to subscribe and get the video. The video is the core strength and stability video that we talk about how to build your core strength that's going to help you as a runner and as a cyclist. Sign up below for the virtual coffee so we can talk about your goals, we can talk about your training plans, and we can talk about how to make your endurance training more effective, fun, and simple with a capital S. Thanks, and I'll see you out in the road.